guys! I've picked up a map of the Disneyland Paris parks to go through with you, and this was a great idea suggested to me by No Frills ASMR. I'll link her channel down below. She is amazing. She does lo-fi videos kind of similar to mine, but she seems like she knows everything about everything. So being from the UK, I watch her videos and she explains a lot about different things in America, which I find really interesting to learn about. So you should definitely check her out. But basically she said that being from America, she might not get to go to the Disneyland Paris park, so it might be a fun little video to kind of see the differences between our parks, and maybe I can just tell you about little bits and pieces like what I do when I go. I think I will do a separate video giving you some tips and tricks of how to make the most of a day or a few days in Disneyland Paris, because I've learned a lot over the time. But for this video I'm going to just take you through this map. I picked this up on eBay because I usually use the phone app because it's just more portable and it gives you times, like real-time queue times, if that makes sense. I do have a giant map, but it is framed and it probably wouldn't fit in the for this video anyway. But so you have the Great British flag at the top because this is in English, but it comes in all different languages depending on where you're from. And I love that the Disneyland text is in pink and blue, just like Sleeping Beauty, her dress and her castle. And obviously I'm biased, but I believe that our castle is the best one, and I will tell you why later on. But let's open it up. It's like a long type of brochure, and it has the map of the main Disneyland park here on the front, and then after we've done this we'll flip it and it will have the studios on the back. It's probably really handy to have this map actually, because the park is changing really imminently actually this year, I believe. So it will not be called Studios Park anymore. It'll be called, I think it's like World of Adventure or something like that, because they're building Arendelle and a Lion King ride and a Tangled ride and all sorts of new cool stuff. So I'm going to start by telling you how we get to Disney. So I've been on the Eurostar one time and it was quite stressful because you have to go into London, you have to go find your platform, there's a change halfway as well, and we have to get on a different train. But we drive to Disney and I can tell you it is a completely different experience. The comfort level that you have when you drive, it takes all of the stress out. So from where I live to Disney is about 6 hours, and that includes the Eurotunnel, and literally that will get you to the Disneyland park. We have like a minivan type thing. It's a Honda step wagon. It's like a little Japanese van, and we bought a little caravan toilet to put in it because once we got stuck at the Eurotunnel, it was like some huge thing had happened and we were stuck there for about 8 or 9 hours. We actually missed our whole first day in Disney, but I have never needed to pee so bad in all my life. So we bought a toilet. But you can just get up in the morning, bundle into the car, turn on the AC, have like all your snacks and your creature comforts and your Disney music, and it just makes the experience so much more magical and exciting. So we bundle into the car, we drive to the Eurotunnel, and then you kind of drive onto a train, which sounds scary, but it's not scary. You just drive in one by one, and then you sit on that train in your car for about 35 minutes, and then you drive out and you are in France. And it is beautiful. You're surrounded by fields, and the telephone poles actually look like they're the shape of cats. They're not meant to be like that, but I just see cats everywhere. They have little ears, like cat ears, and a little cat face. So I always think when oh my goodness, big truck. I always think when I get off the Eurotunnel and we're in France that I'm in cat country. country because it's just beautiful. It's a very straightforward drive too, because it's just pretty much a straight motorway type road. And then you just arrive in Disney, and we always stay in the Davy Crockett Ranch recently. Like, that's where we've stayed the last few times, because when you self-drive, it's just so much easier. All of the Disney hotels have a shuttle that gets you from the hotel to the park. They come like every 15 minutes, and they take about they don't take 15 minutes. They get you straight to the park, because if you walk, it's about a 15 or 20-minute walk. So being self-drive, we can you get to park for free because you're staying in a Disney hotel, and we kind of go in the morning, and then we drive back, have some lunch, or maybe take a nap, go for a swim in the pool during like the peak hours, and then we just drive back to the park for the evening. So it makes it really easier, because the crowds have kind of thinned out a little bit. Some of the children, need to go to bed and things, so that's the way that we structure our day. But you can see down here at the very front of the park is the Disneyland Hotel. Now, it is my life goal, it is my dream, my bucket list is to stay in the Disneyland Hotel just one time. I do not have Disneyland hotel money. If you find you have a surplus of Disneyland hotel money, I will gladly take that off your hands. I'll take one for the team and stay here. But you can see that it's like, you don't need to obviously get the shuttle or drive. You're just at the park. You just wake up at the park. I cannot think of a better dream, to be honest with you. So by the time you get to this point, you will have already gone through the part where you put your bag through the scanner, and you go walk through the little metal detector to make sure that you're a good one, and then you are at the park. So immediately as you come into town square, you're surrounded by, the buildings. You're immediately immersed. There is no other word for it, because the sights, the sounds, the smells, every single one of your senses, you're just transported to Disney. They play, I think the main music that I hear on Main Street is the music from Up, Married Life, and that's what I always kind of equate Main Street with. But there's a little gazebo type part here where everyone kind of takes photos. You can see the castle, and it's just, there's nothing like it. That moment when you step into Main Street and you smell the bakery type smells, hear the music, it's amazing. So let's see what number 1 is. Disneyland Railroad. Yeah, so basically we had never been on the railroad until the last time that we went, the most recent time, and it's definitely worth doing. For a start, you see things that you've never seen before, because you go around the back of everything, and that sounds boring, but it's really not. So you get different views. For example, you see the back of Big Thunder Mountain, and that's incredible to see. It also means if you want to get from the back of the park to the front, or vice versa, you don't have to do the long walk. So if your feet are killing you by the end of the day, just take the railroad back to the beginning point. I would definitely say it is worth doing the railroad, but I don't know why we just never did it for the first few times that we went. It tells you where all the toilets are, depicted on the map here, and in my tips and tricks video I will definitely tell you which ones are the quieter toilets, because for some reason some people go to some more than others, and some are always empty, so that might be a good little tip. We have, it tells you where the defibrillators are. That's really, really good, and they are everywhere. That's good. Nice bit of safety. It also tells you little where you can put your pushchairs, where there's smoking areas, things like that. But mainly it's going to be just showing you where the rides are and where the restaurants are. The restaurants are labelled with letters, and the rides are labelled with numbers. I've shot Binks in the garden and he wants to come in, so bear with me 1 second while I just let him in. Binks, you're a terror. Okay, where were we? So, you come out onto Main Street. Either side of you are lots of buildings. There's shops, there's bakeries, all types of things like that. Let's see if any of them are numbered down here. So we have Walt's, an American restaurant, which I have only heard, I have not experienced, but apparently it is quite overpriced and not that great. B, Market House Deli, Cable Car Bake Shop. That is delicious. They sell all types of things, but the cake pops are huge and they are just, oh my god, they're like giant brownies almost. They're so good. Casey's Corner here at D always has a giant queue, but it is really good as well. Victoria's Homestyle Restaurant and Plaza Gardens Restaurant. That's a really good place to sit just before the fireworks because you've got a really good view of everything and it looks really vintage style like effect. Then you come to the middle here. We don't usually walk all the way down Main Street. I imagine that's what people do. They first come down and come to the castle, but we usually go straight to Frontierland. I don't know why, I guess just habit, but there's also arcades to the left and the right, so if it's raining or if it's too sunny and too hot, you can go into the arcades and then you're under shelter and you basically see the back doors of all of the shops and you can enter from the arcades into the back of the shops. So that's really interesting. So let's move on to the castle. Now the reason that, in my biased opinion, this castle is the best of the three, or I would say the three, there's like tons of castles in there, but I'm going by Disney World and Disneyland California. You can go through the castle in a couple of different ways, so you don't need to go around it, although you can, and it's very, very pretty. There's a certain photo that I always take from the left, and you're like below the castle looking up, and you see all the square trees because the trees are cut into squares, and it just looks absolutely picturesque. It's beautiful, and they've recently refurbished it all, so it's super like colourful now, like it's all refreshed. But you can go into the castle and you can go one of two ways. You can go through the middle, which leads you to some shops. There's like a Christmas shop, like an all year round Christmas shop, and you can also go up the stairs and look out over I think it's King Arthur's sword, watch people try to pull that out. It's a really good view of the park. And upstairs it has the whole story of Sleeping Beauty, so it has stained glass windows that are beautiful, and it shows you little parts of the film, so you can go round from right to left. It tells you the whole story. And if you look up at the ceiling, it's got tiny LEDs that sparkle, and it's kind of shaped like a tree, like it has branches. I can't really do it justice. I'll have to show you a slideshow of it sometime from, you know, past holiday photos. But the real treat is, if you don't go this main way, you can go down to the dragon's lair. So it's kind of off to your left a little bit, and it's signposted, and you go under the castle, and there is Maleficent, the dragon, breathing fire, breathing smoke, and just kind of laying in wait, and every so often she'll wake up and, you know, roar and things like that, and it's completely dark down there, other than when you come to the dragon part. And that is just incredible to see. It's so immersive, and it's not really busy because it is just a walk through. It's not a ride, it's an attraction, but it's more like you just walk through, so you can definitely get an easy good spot to stand and watch the dragon without waiting in any sort of queue or anything like that. So let's see if that is what it says for 20. Yes, Le Tanière du Dragon in the lair beneath the Sleeping Beauty castle. That is the funny thing about Disneyland Paris, is most things are in French. They do it in English too, but usually it's kind of luck of the draw whether you get a ride that has the French narration or the English, and more often than not it is the French. So I'm just so used to hearing everything. Like, I do associate Disney with the French language now, but I think that's really sweet. So Sleeping Beauty Castle, number 19, and then number 34 is the Theatre de Chateau Royal Castle Stage. So this is where they will have little shows going on depending on what the theme is of that time that you go. There's a little stage to the right of the castle where some of the characters will come out and do a show, which is really cool. So if we start by heading into Frontierland, so that is this part here, and it's based mainly around the lake, and you'll see Thunder Mesa, which is the boat which goes around the lake. This is the first land that we visit because Phantom Manor is usually the first ride that we will go on, and it's different to Haunted Mansion. It's a very, very spooky looking building, especially at night. It's extremely photogenic. I'll definitely do a slideshow video for you at some point, but even the queue is worth doing. It's so good, and the big grand doors open and they take a group of you in. You go through and you go into the elevator with the stretch portraits, and then of course you do the ride. But the good part is when you come off the ride, there's also a little hidden graveyard that we did not find like for the first 2 or 3 times that we went. You kind of come out and you follow along the gate of the house, and you come to a tiny little pet cemetery, and then the proper it's like a grand gated part, and it has the husband, the groom and the bride with their tombstones, and it's just a really cool little bit to see. Also, if you look out over the lake, you can see Big Thunder Mountain, and that's again super good for photos, especially in the evening time, and you can just listen to people on the ride. It's sort of away from everything in a way. It's quite quiet and quite secluded. It's a nice part. So as we see number 7, Thunder Mesa Riverboat Landing, you can go on the boat. Rustler Roundup Shooting Gallery, I don't think I've really done that before, but Big Thunder Mountain, so that's one of the rides with the longest queues. I would say there's probably about 3 that have the longest queues, and Big Thunder Mountain is definitely one of them. But it's so worth it. Obviously it's like a rickety old kind of roller coaster. It's not actually rickety or old, but it's designed to seem that way. Otherwise it'd be scary to go. Frontierland Theatre, which is over here, which is where they play The Lion King, Rhythms of the Pride Lands, a fantastic show. We saw that when we last went, and it was so much better than we thought it was going to be. We had no experience of the shows because we'd always just done the rides, but it was so worth doing. We absolutely loved it. There's of course the railroad depot, so you can get on there and just go all the way around. And in terms of food, we have, let's have a look. I is the Silver Spur Steakhouse. I do not believe I have been in there. H is the Last Chance Cafe, and G is the Lucky Nugget Saloon. Where's K? Where is K? Up here. Cowboy Cookout Barbecue. I don't remember which one of these it was, but one of these I went in and had the best veggie burger I've ever had in my life, and it was so quiet in there because the ceilings were high. It was nice and cool away from the sun. I'll have to find out which one it was, but it was definitely one of these. And of course you have Casa de Coco, the restaurant, where they have things like burritos, all types of food like that, and that's one of my favourites for sure because I love cocoa. When you come here at Halloween, it's all themed like, is it called Dia de los Muertos? It's kind of all like that kind of theme, and I just love it so much. They really go all out with the theming. Binks has decided to take a toilet break, and he is the scratchiest of boys. You're going to hear him scratching, throwing litter everywhere in a second, but please forgive us. And then the opposite side of Casa de Coco, you have Hakuna Matata restaurant. So, coming out of Frontierland, that's pretty much it in Frontierland. I don't know if I have a favourite land because we always go on Phantom Manor first, and also this is so off the beaten path that it's beautiful and calm, but I love Discoveryland, like all of the little bits of water and lakes and things like that. There's like a little watery bit that's just beautiful. And of course the labyrinth, Alice's Labyrinth, is up here in Fantasyland, but then you've got pirates in Adventureland, so I don't think I have a favourite land. So if we move on to Adventureland, so the first thing we have when we enter is La Cabane de Robinson, which is the treehouse that you can climb up, up, up. It's ridiculously high, it goes on forever. I've only done it once and I would probably not do it again, but you do have fantastic views. It's well worth doing. I'm just not a heights kind of girl. And then if you follow this water around, you see Skull Rock, which we now know is from Peter Pan, not just a Pirates of the Caribbean thing, and Hook's ship, which we now know. And this is called Pirates Beach. They have play areas for kids, and it's just a nice kind of scenic part. When we went on Halloween, when they had the party and the park was open until 2 AM, they had fires lit along the beach, and it looked so good. It just looked like pirates had actually come and set up camp. And when you went into, you can actually go into Skull Rock, and it is twists and turns and parts to see inside there and everything. You could get totally lost in there. But on Halloween they had zombie pirates just roaming around and scaring you. I've never had so much fun in all my life. That night was just the best night ever. So that's a really good part. Where is 15? So that's a little bit away over here. The Enchanted Passage of Aladdin, which is a small undercover part that you can go through, and it tells you the story of Aladdin, and it's kind of like behind glass but lit up. Really well done models of the story of Aladdin. Number 16 is Indiana Jones. I have never been on this ride. I've seen it, but it has a loop, and I don't want to go upside down because I'm a bit of a wuss. I don't really go here for the rides as much anymore. I used to be an adrenaline junkie, like every ride straight for the, you know, the scariest rides, but as I've got older, I just appreciate the atmosphere. So I like to eat the food, I like to smell the smells, see the sights, take some good pictures, and just be immersed. It's more of a form of escapism for me these days than it is a thrill-seeking experience. So yes, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril up here. And then we have Adventure Isle, which is just the Pirates type part where you can see the Skull Rock and things. Leading up to Pirates of the Caribbean, it says guests may get splashed. So there are a couple of hills in this when you go in, and you go down, you fall, down, and you get splashed that way. A couple of drops, I should say. But it's so fun. It's one of my favourite rides for sure. And there's never really a very big queue, especially if you head straight to the back of the park, because for some reason people always go clockwise. But if you just head straight down, it's probably about 15 minutes to wait. So that's always good. We have, where is L? Colonel Hattie's Outpost Restaurant. This is one of my favourites for a couple of reasons. They do Mickey-shaped pizzas, and they do 2 different veggie versions of it, which, one of them is a curry pizza, which sounds disgusting. But maybe it doesn't to you, but I was like, curry and pizza, that sounds so strange. And it was one of the nicest pizzas I have ever had. It was so delicious. But it's also a really good place to sit to see the characters come past. There must be a little part where they come out of, because when we were sat here we saw Chip and Dale, we saw Jafar, we saw I think we saw Baloo. It was really, really good for character spotting. Maybe we were just there at a really good time, but I would recommend Colonel Hattie's Outpost. Restaurant Hakuna Matata, we've said. Agrabah. So Agrabah Cafe Restaurant, if you get the half board experience and you book the buffet, which we go to the buffets, but we only did half board once, and we booked here just at random because we'd never been there, and it was so good. They had so much for vegetarians because it was all kind of I can't remember what exactly the food was called, but it was like falafel and hummus and things like that, and all different little small dishes that you could grab at the buffet, and there were loads of desserts, and it's beautiful inside. It has huge hanging pendants, and just the lighting is really calming, and it's kind of away from everything. So that's a really great place to eat too. So I would say Adventureland is the best place to go for lunch or dinner. Of course, in Pirates you have Captain Jack's restaurant, which is based at the beginning of the boat ride. So if you sit outside of the restaurant, you can watch the people go past and wave at them as they start to sail the seas. I have not been there yet because they only do one vegetarian option, and I'm not sure I'll like it, and it's a very expensive menu, like it's a set menu, but I'm going to do it one day just for the experience. But again, that'll be on my, bucket list holiday when I stay at the Disneyland Hotel. So moving across to Fantasyland, this is the busiest of all of the lands. Usually it is filled with tiny children, and because it has all of the rides that are the classic kids rides. So if we move across, let's see. So we've done the castle and the dragon. So this is the Snow White ride. All of these rides, Snow White, Pinocchio and Peter Pan, they make me laugh because I think that when they have a big queue, they put you through the ride at double speed. I'm not 100% sure, but when we've been on these rides, they take you through so quickly that you cannot even focus your eyes on one thing before you are pulled around a corner at, whiplash kind of speed. And it just didn't make any sense to me, and it was all in French obviously, so I am not the biggest fan of the kids ride. So Snow White is here, Pinocchio is here, and then Peter Pan is 24, which is up here. They are great, but just for the queue as well, it's just not typically worth it for me. But the Carousel de Lancelot, which is like a carousel with horses and things. I think there's also a bit where you can pull out King Arthur's sword. Peter Pan. So there's the railway station at the back here near the labyrinth, which is another thing that I don't believe they have elsewhere. Meet Mickey Mouse. Dumbo is just some elephants in a ride, like an outdoor type ride. And Alice's Curious Labyrinth. So you enter the labyrinth. It's actually more complicated than I remember. Every time I always think it's going to be super easy to get to the centre, and I always get lost. It's just basically a hedge maze with little bits of water here and there and characters popping out, like animatronic type characters. And then you get to the Queen's Castle in the centre, and you can climb up and get a view of Fantasyland. Sometimes there's little photo ops and things. I've seen the Mad Hatter come by and Alice. I've never had a photo with them, but I've definitely put my head in the little playing card photo op, and that's like my favourite place. And whenever I do that, I know like I'm at Disney. So that's a little part that I don't believe you have in the American Disney park. I don't think so. But I could be wrong. Let's see, Mad Hatter's teacups, nice and pretty, picturesque again, especially at night with like the low light. Casey Junior train. Oh, here's that little ride I was saying about. It's called, I'm probably going to butcher this, Le Pays des Contes de Fées, which I don't know what that translates to, but it's basically a boat ride around model villages of all the Disney films, but you actually get to go into the Cave of Wonders. You're on your boat on the water, and you see the Cave of Wonders, and you go through his mouth. And I just love this ride because it's totally relaxed. You're just on the water having a nice time, seeing the sights, and then the train goes around the outside, around the land, above the water, so you're both basically experiencing the same type of thing, but on different travel modes. Then of course we have It's a Small World, the classic ride. Princess Pavilion, which has got the biggest queues. It's usually about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, sometimes 3, to meet the princesses, which I have never done. And 34 is the theatre, the Royal Castle. Oh, that's the Royal Castle stage that we were talking about before. And that is Fantasyland. The food that we have in Fantasyland is Au Chalet de la Marionnette, so that's Pinocchio's place, I guess. I don't think I've eaten in there. Toad Hall restaurant is like fish and chips and things like that, and they do a little cheesecake. It looks like a Swiss roll, so it's like a spiral, and it's a red velvet cake with cream cheese. Oh my goodness, it was delicious, and it's so nice inside Toad Hall. It's really, really immersive and magical. It's like a mini castle, so I would definitely say that's a great place. Letter R, Auberge de Cendrillon. I think that is another place that is very expensive, big queues to get in, but I think the princesses come to this one, so you can have like breakfast here, the princesses, I believe, but that's not something that I am super fussed about. And then finally S is Pizzeria Bella Notte, which I think is probably from Lady and the Tramp, and I cannot remember for the life of me. I don't think I've been in here, but it definitely sounds like my thing because obviously pizzas are my life. So moving on to Discoveryland, which I would say is probably the quietest land. I'm not sure why, maybe it's the time of day that we get there, but it does tend to be the quietest. So you have Buzz Lightyear Laser Blast, which is where you just sit and you aim your gun and try to kill, or shoot the lasers, and I always lose absolutely, like, by crazy numbers. I'm very bad at this ride, but it's very good. The Orbitron, which just looks like a futuristic type of kind of what's the word, like a mechanical structure, but it is a ride. It just looks like someone's, you know, created it in the past to be futuristic. Videopolis. I don't know why, because there is no real reason behind it, but I absolutely love going into Videopolis. It's got a huge floating, like, airplane type, no, not an airplane, what's it called, like a blimp, I think, outside. And you go in and they show cartoons and they have people on the stage sometimes, and you can just eat like a little, it's one of those a la carte type menus, so you can pick what you want to eat. And I always come in here and it's just a really nice break from everything. You can kind of sit and just really gather your energy again. But I'm not sure why this one in particular, because it's not typically like Disney-esque. It's not super immersive or pretty or magical, but I'm always drawn to it for some reason. And then here's where you get on the railway to carry on going round. And then of course we have Star Tours, my favourite. Usually, like I say, you get a French speaking one, and when I went here last, which was my honeymoon, I was actually the famous face. So they pan around the room and they take a photo of somebody who's sitting in the ride, and you are like the stowaway, like the reason that they need to stop your flight because they're looking for you, and you're like the bad guy. And it was me. And I was like, oh my goodness. It was so funny. So yeah, and I always seem to get the same adventure. I always either get the Ewoks, like when you're going through the forest planet, Endor I believe it is, or Hoth, and you're sort of going between the legs of the AT-ATs, AT-ATs, whatever you call them. So then we have Starport, which is where you can meet Darth Vader, which I did once, and it was really good. And like I said, on Halloween they had all of the characters out on top of Starport, and they were all kind of doing a little like a little kind of thing where they were talking to each other and talking to the audience. That was really cool to see. Here you have the theatre, which plays Mickey's PhilharMagic. I can't remember if that was where we saw Mickey and the Magician, or if that was the other park. I think that might have been the other park. You have the Mystery of the Nautilus, which is a walk through. You go down onto the Nautilus. It used to be really cool because you'd see the eye of the is it the Kraken? I don't know what it is, but now you don't. It's kind of like a screen, like I don't know, it's different now, but it's kind of worth doing. And then of course Hyperspace Mountain, which I have never done, and I probably will never do because it's too scary for me. Leading to, last but not least, Autopia, which is where you are in a little car. It's kind of like half self-drive and half you drive yourself, because I think it's on tracks, but you can kind of steer. I'm not sure. I think it's for younger children. And then, like I said, Videopolis is the place to eat. It's called Cafe Hyperion. And that is the Disneyland park. This video has been a lot longer than I assumed it would be because I went into a bit more depth. So what I'm going to do is end it here because I am very, very hungry. And next week I will flip the map and we'll do Disney Studios. I think that will be a little bit shorter as well because the park is shorter, but maybe I can talk a little bit about the updates that they are building right now. So I hope you've enjoyed coming with me on this little tiny trip, and like I said, I'm going to have some upcoming videos, tips and tricks for making the most of your day out. I'll do a little slideshow showing you the places that I've talked about in this video, and of course I will flip and do Disney Studios. So I hope you guys have a really good weekend, and I will see you soon.